Roman and Jacob's feud is continuing in a major way, so we'll see what the latest is there, and what else could potentially be on the way for that big world title program. Starting things off with all of the latest developments in the story between Roman and Jacob. The April 24th edition of Smackdown saw Jimmy and Jay doing their task that Roman put them on of trying to talk some sense into Jacob and back him down from challenging Roman Reigns. Jimmy and Jay gave Jacob some alternative options, such as going after Cody's title or aligning with the Bloodline and joining them. The crowd booed both of those options and strongly appeared to be behind Jacob and supporting him. Jimmy even took a shot at the fans in the arena, saying that none of those fools can help Jacob the way the family can. And that's another surprising trait about this reunited version of the Bloodline so far. They're not really baby faces, but they're not really heels either. Like in this instance, Jimmy straight up calls the fans in the arena fools, but Jimmy and Jay aren't fully heels. It's a bit confusing, but the Bloodline's big three members all appear to be in that gray area at the moment. But later on that night, Jacob squared off against Solo Sikoa and was able to defeat him. MFT eventually came out to attack Jacob, and Jimmy and Jay started walking down the ramp looking like they were getting ready to assist Jacob. But turns out, Jacob didn't need their help. Jacob takes out the entirety of MFT all by himself, while Jimmy and Jay look on. And the story this moment was trying to tell is very obvious. It was meant to show that Jacob is extremely credible on his own. He took out 4 members of MFT all by himself, without ever needing Jimmy and Jay's help. It makes Jacob look strong, makes him seem like a force to be reckoned with, and most importantly, it makes him seem like a threat to Roman Reigns and the world title. So that was what that edition of SmackDown accomplished for Roman and Jacob's story, just to show that Jacob really could be a problem for Roman to manage. But now we get to the April 27th edition of Raw, and some more major events took place here as well. The show opened up with a cinematic conversation between the original 3 Bloodline members. Roman said that the past is the past, and how Jimmy and Jay are the only people he can trust. They put a lot of emphasis on how much of a threat Jacob is, and how he'll take everything from Roman if he beats him. This conversation ended with Roman saying the words, "the first family," which that part stood out to fans as well. Is the first family the new name for this rebooted version of the Bloodline? Is that the new name they'll slowly start to go by over the next few weeks here? It was the closing words of that segment, so fans are paying close attention to see if that first family nickname will catch on and stick around. It's going to be hard to replace a name that's been around for years like the Bloodline, but we'll have to see if they try and continue to use the first family as a potential new name. This brings us to the main event segment where Roman explained his reasoning for coming after the World Heavyweight title. He acknowledged the history with the World Heavyweight title, how that World Heavyweight title was created in spite of him and what he was doing several years ago, how they created the world title to try and take some shine away from him. They did all that work to take that shine away from Roman, and now Roman just so happens to have the World Heavyweight title in his possession, and he bragged about now elevating the world title and bringing it to the Night 2 main event of WrestleMania. He spoke about how he's really the first real champion the World Heavyweight title has had up until this point. And it's not too long after this that Jacob comes out to once again confront Roman and echo some of the things he said the week prior of needing everything Roman has. Roman said that he can't do it. He can't give Jacob the match because he hasn't earned it, and how giving him the match would be nepotism. But right as Roman says this, Jacob strikes him with the Tongan death grip. As Jacob is walking away, Roman gets on the mic to accept the match at Backlash. We then hear Jacob say to the camera that he'll see Roman next week on Raw. So that itself is a big reveal that for the 4th consecutive week in a row, Roman will be on Raw. Roman has basically been on television for the entirety of this build-up with Jacob, so that is great to see. The part that has fans a bit confused with this feud is the part about wondering who's the heel and who's the babyface. This is something that Punk vs. Reigns also suffered from. Some people are viewing Jacob's attack on Roman as a heel turn, especially since he did it so brutally in the middle of a conversation. Other fans think this is still just a gritty family battle, with no clear-cut bad guy or good guy. The Texas crowd even looked like they were a bit confused at first on how to react towards everything that happened there between Roman and Jacob. But Jacob was the one who ultimately got the most boos here. But just a few days before on SmackDown, Jacob was getting cheered and Jimmy and Jay were getting booed. So it's definitely a confusing storyline if you're trying to get a grasp on who's the villain and who's the hero. It just seems like it's a tweener versus tweener type of matchup for the time being, unless something drastic happens in the next few weeks that says otherwise. But at least for now, they're both in that gray area. Backlash is already happening on May 9th, so that May 4th edition of Raw will be the final build-up moment for Roman versus Jacob. With Jacob bringing out that death grip and attacking Roman in a disrespectful fashion, it has fans really predicting that things could get crazy on that May 4th edition of Raw, and even at Backlash itself. Ever since the middle of the WrestleMania feud against CM Punk, they've been teasing the idea of Roman reverting to his Thunderdome days. For anyone that wasn't watching back then, Thunderdome Roman was easily the most evil and manipulative Roman has ever been as a character. The Thunderdome version of Roman was truly a heartless monster that was also a tyrant narcissist that didn't think of anybody except himself. He would do whatever it takes in the most brutal fashion to stop someone from trying to take his gold. They've flirted with the idea of this version of Roman coming back over the last few weeks here, like even bringing back Roman's original Head of the Table theme song, but they haven't gone all the way with it quite yet. But fans are wondering if that attack Jacob just did on Roman is finally going to be the big event that forces Thunderdome Roman Reigns to come out fully unleashed. We know that Jimmy and Jay have also been a bit more on edge lately as well, so did Jacob just awaken the Thunderdome versions of all three original Bloodline members? That's what fans are curious about. Another possibility fans are discussing is the idea of Roman bringing in a surprise family member at Backlash to save the day for him against Jacob. If they're going all the way nostalgic with this Bloodline reboot, does that mean we'll see the outside interference return in Roman's matches and see more additions to the family? It seems like a possibility, but that probably would be pretty controversial, since one of the things fans hated the most from Roman's previous reign was the insane amount of outside interference in his title matches. That's one thing that fans probably wouldn't be so happy to see return in this new title reign for Roman. But you can't help but wonder if that is what they got cooking up, because Roman can't afford to lose at Backlash, and Jacob can't afford to lose and look weak either. So is that world title match bound to end in outside interference, or a debuting new member for the first family? It's definitely worth asking right there, because it seems like a strong possibility. But what are your thoughts on today's stories? Leave your comments below. Don't forget to subscribe with all notifications on, and leave a like if you enjoyed. Thanks for watching, guys.